The show Secret Level, created by Tim Miller, announced during Gamescom back in August 2024, was one of the only things that really caught my eye. I was a big fan of Love, Death and Robots, which he also created, and when I finally got around to watching it, you know what, let me quickly talk about that. I'm a big fan of anthologies anyway, and Love, Death and Robots did really well in keeping me immersed throughout for the most part, regardless of what the story was about. Each story had something unique to offer, not only with the narrative and the characters, but also with the art style, which fully reflected the emotions and the worlds being shown. So a new series made by the same team was obviously something that I couldn't say no to, especially since it centers around some of the most popular games, including ones that didn't even get to last a month after its release, but we'll get into that later. Now, like I implied earlier with Love, Death and Robots, not every single story in Secret Level hit for me, but that's partly due to the fact that I'm not too familiar with the source material of every game the show uses. I'm mostly familiar with their names through seeing some gameplay footage, which isn't to say I didn't enjoy the episodes based on the games I wasn't familiar with. I just think I would have liked them more if I knew the source material well in order to understand it fully or catch any Easter eggs or references, if that makes sense. But with that said, I still couldn't help but appreciate the visuals regardless of the style each episode went with. Another minor complaint I had with LDR was how short some episodes were. I always felt like they ended too quickly, even though they wrapped up at moments that made sense. Knowing there wouldn't be a continuation of a particular episode was slightly annoying, and this was the case with Secret Level as well. In some instances, certain episodes, in my opinion, had undeservingly longer runtimes. Also, one of the main cameos that was teased in a reveal trailer barely even made an appearance, and that was kind of disappointing, but anyway. During an interview with the Movie Blog, Tim Miller alongside supervising director Dave Wilson shared some really interesting behind the scenes insight about the whole project. They talked about how many other games didn't make it into the final stages of the show and expressed their desire to keep making this series, as well as LDR, for as long as possible. They also acknowledged that not everyone who's a fan of Unreal Tournament, for example, will necessarily enjoy something like Dungeons & Dragons, but they hope viewers can still find aspects of the show that help them appreciate why others might enjoy it, or at least for them to enjoy the visuals. They mentioned plans to eventually gather feedback on what games should be showcased in future episodes, which I think could be a great idea. Personally, I'd love to see an episode inspired by Prototype or Infamous. I think those could really be interesting. And last but not least, the Concord episode. Now, I'm sure most of you listening probably know about this already, but let me give you a quick background on the whole situation. Concord was a hero shooter developed by Firewalk Studios and published by Sony. It launched in August 2024 but was pulled just 2 weeks later due to poor sales and low player engagement. The game barely had time to find its footing, and Sony ended up shutting down the studio entirely. The controversy around its abrupt failure and backlash it received made it one of the most talked about flops in recent gaming history. So with all that in mind, it was obviously a funny surprise to see Concord being one of the episodes marketed in the show. You can already guess how the audience reacted to that. I will say this, it's unfortunate for the people who worked hard on the game. Situations like this are never great, especially with all the layoffs happening within the industry lately. It's tough to see something people poured years of effort into fail so spectacularly. But from day one, the game's trailers didn't do it any favors. It felt like a run-of-the-mill Guardians of the Galaxy knockoff, at least in terms of its characters and dialogue. It just had that same vibe, and nothing about it really stood out to me. So how was the episode? I mean, it was cool. It was pretty much the same energy as the game's trailers as expected. Something about the ending of the episode felt like it was being self-aware about the game's reception, but maybe it's just me. When asked about the downfall of the game, Tim Miller had this to say. It's unfortunate with all the hard work the team put into it. I can't speak on whether it was the right game at the right time, but the team really believed in it and poured everything into it. He even compared it to a movie he worked on, Terminator Dark Fate, and how despite believing in that project, it didn't perform as well as he had hoped. I honestly respect his transparency. It's refreshing to see someone acknowledge both the effort and the outcome without sugarcoating it. I am looking forward to a season 2, which has now been confirmed, and a season 4 of Love, Death and Robots. Let me know down below what you thought about the show overall, and thanks so much for checking out the video if you made it this far into it. I also want to say thanks to everyone that's been keeping up with my uploads throughout the year, and to all the new subscribers. I really appreciate it. Please like and subscribe for more videos like this in the future if you're new to the channel, because there's a lot of exciting movies and games coming up in 2025 that I can't wait to talk about. And last but not least, hope you had a great Christmas and a happy new year. Anyway, that's all I've got for now, so I'll catch you in a bit.